We're testing 1 2 with 2 1 2. I said check 2 1 2. Yo 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 yo. Well, hey guys, how's it going? This is CS with DWP, and today I'm going to be doing a continuation of the status effect for Warframe Wiki Wednesday. Welcome. Every Wednesday I do put one of these up. Sorry I'm a little bit late on this one. I might be looking into comments if we get comments, but I just want to go on ahead and jump right into this. For starters, this today I am going to be talking about the status effects of Damage 2.0. Last week I did pre-Damage 2.0 because there were a lot of questions about it, and we haven't gotten the patch quite yet for console. So it's going to be more talking than actually showing. But I have the wiki up right here, so hopefully this Warframe Wiki Wednesday should clear any confusion in case, with a lot of, oh, this is meta and that's meta and this is this and that's that. Hope we're going to get it straight from the wiki. That way, any questions that might be flying around, at least at this point, we'll all be more informed instead of all this arguing and unnecessary sideline discussion type of situation happening. So, for starters, let's go ahead and start it off. As we know, a status effect, or commonly called a proc, is an additional effect which may be triggered at random by a hit from a weapon or Warframe ability. You guys pretty much know what that is. It's indicated by the little sign that you see above their heads. For example, a weapon such as an unmodified static core deals solely radiation damage. In addition to its damage, the static core also has a 28% chance on each shot to cause a proc, right? Once again, a proc is a programmed random occurrence. That's what it stands for. On a successful proc, the enemy will receive a radiation status effect, which causes confusion over the duration of the effect. Enemies also possess this ability as well. So they can proc heat on you. They can proc slash on you. Just keep that in mind, okay? We're going to skip over damage scaling for now because I covered that in my last one, and damage scaling works pretty much the exact same. Let's get into the status effects because that's kind of the meat and potatoes of it. So, and once again, this is coming straight from the wiki. We're going to start with the IPS, and then we're going to move on to the elementals. So, for starters, impact, the effect is called stagger, and this causes a target to flinch and stagger, or they do a stagger movement for 1 second, and it causes a knockdown after 5 stacks. So after you do 5 impact procs, that's what causes them to knock down. This is why in a lot of shotgun videos, you'll see them shoot, and the enemy just falls to the ground. For the player, this actually does nothing. So if you're doing PvP, impact is irrelevant, or at least the damage counts, but the actual proc doesn't do anything. As far as puncture, this is weakened. Now, it does effectively the same thing, but this one actually did get buffed. So initially, what it would do is it would reduce the enemy's damage by 30% for 6 seconds. Now it reduces the damage for 30% by 6 seconds, but it stacks up to 10 times with the subsequent procs, reducing the damage that they're outputting by 5%. It caps out at 75%, by the way. For if you're in PvP, they just get a 30% damage reduction. For slash, this is bleed procs. This deals 35% of the base damage as true damage per second. So when they say true damage, this basically means that it ignores all defense modifiers. So this is shields, armor, level, whatever. It's just true damage. Boom, it's right there, and they're gonna take that as damage. And it's 35% of your base damage. So let's say, for example, this one, we're just gonna round this up to 2,000. So at 2,000, it's gonna do 35% of 2,000. This is the IPS plus the viral, right? That's my base damage. I'm sorry. So base damage is the IPS. So it's gonna take 35% of my base damage, and it's going to basically do 35% of that, right? But it's going to skip all the defenses. Keep in mind, slash does not go through shields anymore. Impair. Now, impaired is, I've noticed, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, somebody has to correct me on this, but I believe impair is the Magus lockdown proc. This is things like sleep. Of course, Magus lockdown. I'm going to pull him out and just show you what that looks like, because I don't know, because there's no sleep proc. So that, I believe, is the impair proc, which is the exact same as sleep. And also that does open people up. It doesn't open them up to finishers necessarily, but it does give you stealth damage, which is really nice. True damage, that's true damage. Just to keep in mind, impair, it does restrict the target's movement for 2 seconds. Just throwing that out there. That is PvP only, by the way. Lifted status, that is briefly suspends the enemies in midair. They also go alongside with the pull effect. I'm going to check your comments out in just a minute. I did see that somebody has joined and left a couple comments. And if you are saying hi, then hello to you. But I do want to show the lifted effect. This is not changing from 1.0 to 2.0. This is commonly seen with weapons such as the Thibodeau, where if I just hit them, boop, they go into the air. That's the lifted status. And yes, that does count towards your condition overload. Just to give you a heads up. You also have Ignite. Ignite deals 50% of the base damage as heat damage per second over 6 seconds. It also is increased by heat mods, and increased by heat mods can be refreshed. Don't know exactly what that means, but it can be refreshed. I'm sorry about that. So when they say refresh, this is when I wish I had a proc up. Let's say lifted, right? You lift them, right, and then you can refresh to lift it, right? So what they're saying is you can re-proc and refresh. Let's say you got one second of heat left, you can restart it basically back to 6 seconds, while causing the target to panic for 4 seconds, which means that they'll be on fire or doing damage over time for an additional 2 seconds, stripping up to 50% of the armor. Now, keep in mind this. With heat, the way heat works is it takes 2 seconds. So from the time you proc it first, it starts the proc, boom, and then 2 seconds later they'll be at 50% armor. Okay, it gradually goes down, right? So it'll be like 12.5, and then 25, and then 37.5, and then 50%. Boom. That's at the 2 second mark. They'll be at 50% for 2 seconds, and then it'll gradually go back up for the remainder of the 2 seconds. Hence the 6 second proc. For PvP, it deals 350% of the base heat damage over 6 seconds and strips up to 50% of the armor, which is kind of awesome actually. Keep in mind, heat does not go through shields or armor. For cold, reduces movement speed, fire rate, and attack speed, so pretty much overall speed, by 25% for 6 seconds. This also stacks up to 10 times, going up in increments of 5%. You can cap your speed reduction up to 70%. This is on pretty much any enemy. Unfortunately, it does not permanently stop the enemy or completely stop the enemy, which would be extremely nice. But I mean, 70%. That's cool though. For PvP, it reduces the speed by 25%. Just keep that in mind. For electricity, it deals 50% of the base electricity damage to enemies within 3 meters of the target and stuns them for 3 seconds. This is kind of awesome because that means I kind of look at it kind of like an AoE CC, basically, which is very similar to how it used to be. I was going to show it off, but I think it's kind of self-explanatory. If there's a group of enemies and one happens to take electricity damage, any enemy within 3 meters will get hit by that electricity proc, and it'll deal 50% of the base electricity damage. For PvP, it deals 50% of electricity damage to allies within 3 meters of the target. So if you're a PvP team versus team, then you hit one with it, it's going to be on them, and then it'll carry over to another one if they come within the range of them within 3 seconds. Just doing the damage, though, it won't do the CC. For Toxin, this is pretty much universal for PvP and for PvE. Deals 50% of the base damage as toxin damage per second over 6 seconds. I don't feel like this has really changed. I think from what All Blade 4 said, and I'll be able to do kind of a recap once we get the update. The update apparently is now in cert for console. But what Toxin used to do, right, is that it used to bypass shields but did not bypass armor. But I guess this is what I gathered from what I've been seeing, is that I guess Toxin does not bypass shields anymore. But once again, that's going to be tentative. If anybody has any information on that, go ahead and leave it in the comments after the video is posted. That would be very much appreciated, because it doesn't say, at least right here in the wiki. Maybe we might come across it later. Void, this is bullet attractor. This is the mini mag bubble. Nothing has changed on this. Creates a 2.5 meter radius field, which attracts projectiles for 3 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and show you what this looks like. I think this enemy has taken some damage, so we're just going to respawn him. And I'm going to show you what Void does. It is literally a mini mag bubble. So you hit them, you get a green bubble. You can shoot at the bubble, and the enemy gets hit by it. That's what the void proc does. This is why it's very useful in Eidolon hunts. They say shoot at the blue or the green bubble because it'll automatically go to the limb that it's supposed to go to. Blast. This causes inaccuracy, so it reduces the accuracy by 30% for 6 seconds. When they catch this proc, it stacks up to 10 times, which basically it goes in stacks of 5, totaling for 75%. So they have a 75% accuracy reduction for hit scan. Just think of it kind of like their hits per second basically are reduced by 75% when you're dealing with hit scan. When you're dealing with projectile weapons, it's effectively the same way our accuracy works. So if you have 100% accuracy, you go straight. If you don't have 100% accuracy, then it's going to be flying all over the place similar to a shot. You basically just add spread to it. It's kind of micro. It's hard to tell on that one. For PvP, it's the exact same thing without the stack, 30% for 6 seconds. For corrosive, okay, corrosive, because this has been in the air. I'm pretty sure we all know this by now, but I'm going to read it straight from the wiki. Anyway, so corrosive reduces armor by 26% for 8 seconds. Stacks up to 10 times with subsequent procs, reducing armor by 6% to a total of 80%. Now, with corrosive, more than likely everyone in here or watching this has a corrosive build, and we all strive to, if not completely strip, then strip as much armor as possible. What this is gonna, I'm just gonna have to kind of put this in there. So what this means from a realistic standpoint is when you're reducing armor in this patch that I have right now, the armor that I'm reducing is so much more than the patch that's already out for PC that they kind of break even. And if anything, our weapons, even though we can't go past the 80% mark on stripping the armor is so reduced. It's reduced so much that just having the 80%, like, let me put it this way. A 150 bombard, or if you look at the chart they posted, a level 150 in a level 100 in this patch has the same amount of armor as a level 150 in the new patch. So you'll kill 150s at the same speed you kill a level 100 in this patch. So if anything, you're getting almost, in regards to that, you're getting a 50 level decrease in the armor. So if you can strip 80% of the armor in this patch, then you're not going to have any problems with a 150 in the new patch. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. That way nobody can freak out, because I feel like too many people were saying stuff got nerfed, and it really didn't. You know. Anyway, for PvP, this reduces the armor by 26%, and it lasts for 8 seconds again. Now, it's not permanent anymore, but I mean, let's be realistic. If you're not killing something in 8 seconds with 80% of its armor left, you probably should kind of look into your build or something like that. You know, it's probably some kind of adjustment has to be made. So gas cloud. So this is gas procs. It just creates a gas cloud. Universal deals 25% of the base damage as gas damage per second over 6 seconds. Here's what's interesting. Now, gas in the current console patch or previous to damage 2.0, it did toxin damage. Now it does gas damage, I guess, which is okay for Corpus, and more so for infested. So take gas to infested, I believe. Let me just pull this up real quick. I just want to make sure I'm on the money. Nope, that's toxin. Gas, yeah. So you want to take gas to infested, yeah. So they actually are weak. Okay, so that actually works out then. If you take gas to infested missions, you should be good to go then. All right, cool. So it does have a use, kinda. Magnetic. Okay, we all know what this does, but I guess it had a little bit of a change to it. So amplifies damage dealt to shields by 100% and nullifies shield regeneration for 6 seconds. This is actually pretty nice. Stacks up to 10 times with the subsequent procs, increasing damage to shields by 25% to a total of 325%. That is kind of overkill. I honestly am just going to have to wait for the patch to come through to see how that works. So right now I have a foeman, and it should have magnetic on it. I want to kind of put this in perspective. Or it had magnetic on it. Let me put magnetic on it real quick. because when I took this to the index, it was kind of like, wow, it was a little too much. So let's go ahead and put magnetic on it. And I want to show you what it does now. And this is only with a 75% buff. So we got magnetic and impact. And we should have Jad Turret. Yeah. So hopefully he's not hit too much. Yep. So this is what it does now, right? You see how much shield that took off? Now, if you need 325% more shield damage, then we're going to have to really, really hit the ground running on some of these builds, because this is 75%. That's like a 75% bonus, right? Or something like that. If you get a 300, I mean, you guys could kind of see what it looks like, basically. So, use your imagination. We're basically going to be overpowered with magnetic, completely overpowered against shields. That's what I'm anticipating. For PvP, it deals 100%. It amplifies damage dealt to the shields by 100%. Basically, it does double the damage. It nullifies shield regeneration, drains 50 energy per second, and scrambles the interface for 4 seconds. It's the exact same as getting hit by magnetic proc when fighting Eidolons. Now onto radiation. This is confusion. This one I'm still kind of trying to figure out. So, attacks any closest enemy and will be attacked in return, while dealing 100% additional damage to allied units for 12 seconds. Stacks up to 10 times with subsequent procs, increasing damage by 550 or by 50% to a total of 550%. So if you have a Kuva Nukor and you shoot something and you get the max amount of procs, it'll deal 500 to its and put a video up with a clickbaity ass title. But you guys know who Nyx is, and she has a augment mod that already gives her person under mind control 500% damage. So if I'm not mistaken, if you hit somebody with Mind Freak, right, and you control them, or if you hit them with radiation, let's say a bombard or something big that can take the hits, you proc the max on them and then hit them with Mind Freak, they should have 1,050 damage to their allies, like a Nox or something. That's just what I'm thinking. Use your imagination, make a video out of it. I got God tier Nox as a pet. Go for it. That'd actually be dope. I want to see that video. Anyway, on to Viral. So Viral amplifies damage dealt to health by 100% for 6 seconds, stacks up to 10 times. Each proc gives an additional 25% for a total of 325%. Now, I'm hearing a lot that this is going to be meta. What this says to me, amplifies damage dealt to health by 100% to direct to health. It kind of sounds exactly like Slash. So I'm assuming that Viral is the new Slash. So if I shoot something and I proc Viral, that Viral damage should carry over should be basically done to health. Amplifies damage dealt to health by 100%. Okay, I'm just going to have to try this. I think you do still have to bypass shields. Hopefully somebody can leave a comment down below and kind of explain this if you're on PC. Let me read that one more time for anybody who might be confused by my rambling. Amplifies damage dealt to health by 100% for 6 seconds, stacks up to 10 times with subsequent procs, increasing damage to health by 25% to a total of 325%. Okay, so I'm going to be running my Viral all over the place. I think Viral Heat, from the way it sounds to me, Viral Heat and Viral Corrosive actually might be the way to go. And then Magnetic Gas, I think it's going to be right back in the building. Let me see, because my thing is going to die here, and I apologize for this. While I'm doing this, I'm going to pull up the comments. And I appreciate you guys' patience. Sorry for holding you guys up. Come on, don't do this to me now. Actually, I'll just do this. Yay. Okay, I'm going to be a little bit more quiet because I'm over here now. But, all right, so in Imperium missions, we finally have an explanation on this, okay? The below list shows the list of Imperium-specific damage types along with their corresponding status effect. Secondary elemental damage types, blast, corrosive, so on and so forth, and are not converted and cannot proc a status effect on enemies in the Imperium Arcwing mode. I'm going to personally have to test this because radiation works, though it doesn't show the proc, whether it's doing electricity and heat at the same time or it's doing radiation. Either way it goes, it works. So I'm going to have to test this personally, and then I'll have something out for you guys on that one. Anyway, on to Imperium damage type. So Impact is ballistic. It's the one that looks like a little airplane flying upward. The status effect is called concuss. Crew within a gunship have a reduced aim and damage for 6 seconds. Kind of reminds me of puncture, actually, which is weird. So anyway, puncture, which is plasma, right? Decompress. So ships have a reduced shields. Ship has reduced shields and armor for 20 seconds. Stacked similarly to corrosive. Okay, so I'm assuming 5 goes up to 80. We have slash, which converts into particle, which this proc is called tear. Ships receive 7.5% increased damage for 20 seconds. Oh, receives. Okay, gotcha. Increased damage effect stacks multiplicatively with itself. Nice. Doesn't say how many, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll find out soon. Cold is frost, obviously. This one immobilizes. We all know what this does. It basically stops the ship and keeps them from shooting, so I'll just read it. Ship weapons are disabled, and it slows down to a complete stop. Yep. We got electricity, which is ionic, which causes scramble. Ship spirals erratically for 6 seconds. I personally don't like that proc, but that's okay. Heat, incendiary, sear is the status proc. Ship receives damage over time for 6 seconds. Sounds about right. Toxin, which is chem. This causes intoxicate, which causes them to attack the closest enemy and will be attacked in return for 12 seconds. So basically, it's radiation. What's interesting about this one, just a little side note, is that when they're under the effects of chem or a toxin, it's because it's like a radiation proc. It flips the polarity of the friendly fire, or of who's getting shot at, basically. So if you hit them with that, now they can get hit by everybody, right? But it flips the healing ships, right? So when you got a cruise ship and it shoots the bubble, if you hit them with toxin, it'll flip the polarity of that bubble. So now it's healing you, or it's supposed to heal you. And to me, I don't notice. I never noticed, but I notice it's not healing the enemy ships anymore. Just throwing it out there. Status chance. We all know what status chance is, but I'm going to just read this little note right here. When a weapon achieves a status chance higher than 100%, every attack will inflict status, but it also gains a chance to apply more than one status effect. Status duration we're going to skip because we all know that. Status negative, we don't need to worry about that. Unless you guys really want to know, I'll do a separate video on that. Damage distributions, this is a little note I want to put out there. Damage procs will occur in proportion to the amount of the base damage dealt by each of the present damage type on the weapon. For example, in unmodded Struns, highest physical damage type is impact, thus it inflicts most knockbacks, basically. When both physical and elemental damage types are present on the weapon, such as a base physical damage weapon with elemental mods equipped, physical damage types are weighted 4 times, so on and so forth. This is not the case to my understanding on the way it works now. That doesn't sound right. So what the wiki is saying, I think this wiki might have to be updated, so take this with a grain of salt, okay? But it's saying that the physical damage types are weighted 4 times as much as elemental types in the proc calculation, making elemental procs relatively rarer, so on and so forth, to determine the proportion, and it gives the proportion equation. So they're saying that it still stands, but I'm not entirely sure if that's fact, because I believe DE said that it doesn't weight anymore, and every other person who has the patch has said it doesn't weight. So I'm going to skip on that one. As far as multi-shot, we understand how multi-shot goes, but I'm going to just read this part. To calculate the status chance of a single pellet, there is an equation for that on the wiki. Basically, long story short, for the most part, when it comes to shotguns, you take the amount of pellets, and you're going to have to, because each shotgun has their own number of pellets that they distribute. You take the amount of pellets and you divide that by your status chance, and you get the status chance effectively of each pellet. If you want the specific equation, it's basically 1 minus the status chance, in parentheses, to the power of 1 divided by the pellet count, and then you minus that from the number 1, and that'll give you your status chance per pellet count. Kind of a complicated way of doing it, but that's okay. Anyway, average procs, we're going to skip over that because I don't want to bore you guys with that. I wanted to just get the meat and potatoes out. At least 1 proc. We apply status effect, which does not benefit from multiple applications, such as radiation or blast procs. It is helpful to know the chance that a shot or strike with that weapon will inflict at least 1 status effect. For example, okay, they're throwing formulas at us. That's fine. There's some mods. And I think that's really kind of all. Oh, here we go. Stacking status effects. That's what I was looking for. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, but wait, there's more, so on and so forth. So this section will outline exactly what this means for each status type, including information on how multiple status effects behaved with stacking prior to this hotfix. So with impact, repeat single target impact status effects will escalate the efficacy of the impact status. It was removed previous to changing it. Previous change of adding ragdoll as maximum. Sorry about that. Basically, it just staggers the hell out of them. Puncture. So the first puncture proc effect, basically they deal 30% less damage. Subsequent punctures, we already know what that one does. Slash. So each slash has its own duration, but now the only maximum is 10, shown on the HUD. Damage is unaffected. You know about that. They basically want to increase performance. Let's hope that's the case. I'm hoping that's the case. Cold, we know how that one stacks. When you stack it, then you can reduce up to 70%. Heat's no change. Toxin is pretty much the same as slash. Electricity. So AoE electricity damage that is part of the status effect can now reoccur while the target is still under the stun animation of another electric status effect. So you can basically refresh it. That's what that sounds like. Blast. Grants the blast status effect to a single target. Blast status reduces the enemy's accuracy up to 75%. Corrosive, we know how corrosive works. Corrosive was the only status with an infinite duration and 100% efficacy towards the defensive stat. This was necessary to some based on how armor scaled. They're saying that they feel that their efforts, is balanced out. And I do kind of agree with them that I think that 80% is fine because we're already murdering stuff in a mere amounts of seconds. And they reduce the armor, which is ridiculous. So I think for the most part with the stacking, I think I covered most of the stacks. I think I covered pretty much all the stacks. So let me go ahead and check out some of these comments because that pretty much covers it for now. And I'm going to do another recap to this once we get the update and I can actually experiment for myself and kind of get some hands-on with it to see like what it's actually like. Let me pull these up. I apologize for the time it's taking. Boom. And let's see what we got here. Hey, what's up, Doc McStuffins? Now it's time to do a few. Now, you tripping, bruh. Anybody doing tri-caps? I'm working on this video, man. I got to get some stuff out there. Squash Face, what's up? Hope you're having a good day. Hopefully see you around. And bada bing, bada boom. So those were our two commenters. And that pretty much does it. So I'm gonna do a part 2 of this after I get some hands on with it personally because I've seen a lot of hands on and I played with it, but I want to give a more educational kind of presentation of it rather than a here's meta, do this type of approach. Hey, viral heat, you should do this. Corrosive, you should do this. Magnetic, you should do this. Like, no, let's sit down and kind of explain this. So once I get it in my hands. And this wiki is a little bit more tightened up because I don't agree with the weighted part, then I'm going to shoot another one for you guys. That way you guys have a little bit more information. And I'll actually end up taking this one down and leaving that one up. But without further ado, this is CS from DWP. And I hope I was able to at least kind of clear the air. As we both seen, the wiki might need a little bit tightening up, but there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next old piece old content. Holla pimps. All right, peace. Woo!